Hey there, and welcome. You know, in a world just absolutely flooded with notifications, pings, and endless feeds, have you ever felt like your ability to just sit down and think is kind of slipping away? Well, today, we're going to dig into a skill that might just be the most important superpower of our time: deep work. So let me just ask you this straight up. Think about your last workday, right? Your calendar was probably jam-packed, emails were flying in nonstop, you were definitely busy, no question. But at the end of the day, did you actually make real progress on your most important goals? That feeling, that constant motion without actually moving forward, that's exactly what we're tackling today. And this chart right here, it just nails the modern work dilemma. On one side, you've got deep work. You know, that focused, heads-down effort that creates really high, meaningful value. But on the other side, shallow work. That's the constant flood of emails, pointless meetings, and little admin tasks. It's low value, anybody can do it, and it's easily replaceable. The big problem is most of us are completely drowning in that shallow end. Okay, so if the problem is spending way too much time on shallow work, what's the fix? Well, it's about building a skill that's becoming incredibly rare, and because of that, it's unbelievably valuable. It's time to talk about the superpower of focus. So here's the core idea straight from Cal Newport's fantastic book. Deep work is simply the ability to focus without any distraction on a tough, mentally demanding task. This is the skill that lets you master complicated information and produce way better results in way less time. And look, it's not just about, avoiding Twitter for an hour. It's about training your brain to perform at its absolute peak. And believe me, the stakes are incredibly high. We're in an economy where automation is taking over more and more of the routine stuff. So the ability to do deep, creative, and insightful work isn't just a nice-to-have anymore, it's your main competitive advantage. It's kind of like the new literacy. Now, this whole idea isn't some brand new productivity hack, not at all. The concept of deep, totally undistracted work has been the secret weapon for some of the most influential thinkers and creators for centuries. Let's take a look at a few of them. Think about it. Top performers, the real game changers, they don't have breakthroughs while they're constantly checking their email. No way. They are masters at designing their environment for one thing and one thing only: intense, uninterrupted concentration. Just check this out. The famous psychologist Carl Jung, he literally built a stone tower with no electricity, just so he could think and write. And when J.K. Rowling was hitting a wall trying to finish the last Harry Potter book, what did she do? She checked into a fancy hotel suite, completely cutting herself off from all distractions. And of course, Bill Gates is famous for his Think Weeks. Twice a year, he goes off to a cabin to do nothing but read and think deeply about the future. They all got it. They understood the crucial point. Real breakthroughs require you to disconnect. All right, so we've covered the why this is also important. Now let's get into the how. How do you actually do this? Cal Newport lays out 5 really clear, actionable rules to help us build deep work into our own lives. These 5 rules, they're the foundation. First, work deeply by creating strict rituals, like where will you work for how long, and what are your do not disturb rules. Second, and this is a big one, you have to embrace boredom. Your brain has to get comfortable without constant stimulation, which means not pulling out your phone every single time you're waiting in line. Third, quit social media or, at the very least, do a ruthless audit and justify why each platform is in your life. Fourth, drain the shallows. You have to actively shrink the amount of time you spend on those low-value tasks. And finally, be absolutely fierce about what you give your attention to. Let's just zoom in on Rule 4 for a second: drain the shallows. A really brilliant tactic here is to batch all those little tasks, emails, admin stuff, into specific contained time blocks. So maybe you only do email from 4 to 5 p.m. What this does is it protects your peak energy hours, usually in the morning, for the work that actually matters. And how about this challenge from Rule 3? I know it sounds a little radical, but it's so powerful. Try a 1-week social media detox. Just quit cold turkey. Afterwards, only let yourself back on the platforms that you can clearly say are essential for your professional or personal goals. The whole point is to be an intentional user, not just a passive consumer getting scrolled. Okay, theory is awesome, but let's get super practical. How can you actually start building this superpower, like tomorrow? Well, here is a concrete 7-day plan that you can follow right away. And listen, this isn't about some massive overnight life change. It's just about taking small, consistent steps. Your journey to getting your focus back, it really does begin with day one. And just look at how simple this is to get started. Day one is just about setting up your ritual, pick a time, a place, and a setup for one 60-minute focus session. That's it. Then by day two, you're practicing distraction resistance. You try to work for 90 minutes straight without a single glance at your phone or email. See? Each day just builds on the last, and that creates this really powerful momentum. But how do you know if you're actually making any progress? I mean, this can't just be about feelings. It's got to be about actual metrics. So here are the key numbers to keep an eye on as you start to develop this superpower. First up, the big goal for most of us in knowledge work is to get about 2 to 4 hours of real, uninterrupted deep work every single day. Now, I know that sounds like a lot, but the output from those few hours can literally blow away what you'd get done in 8 hours of distracted, shallow work. Second, it's about the quality of that time. You really want to aim for focus blocks of at least 90 minutes. Why? Because it takes time for your brain to really load up a complex problem and fully engage with it. Every little interruption, even for a second, resets that clock back to 0. And finally, the goal is to shrink the noise. You should aim to keep all that shallow work below 40% of your total work time. This isn't just about managing your calendar, it's a filtering system. It forces you to be absolutely ruthless about what you say yes to. You know, we live in a world that is actively, aggressively fighting for every single second of our attention. But what if you could take it back? If you could truly focus, even for just a few hours each day, what could you learn? What could you build? What amazing problems could you solve? The potential is just limitless.